You know, when you see a flower, you probably notice its color, maybe its scent, right? Its beauty. But what if I told you every single flower is actually a masterpiece of biological engineering? A super precise and complex structure built for one ultimate purpose: reproduction.
I mean, have you ever really looked at one, gotten up close? Beyond those pretty petals, have you ever just stopped and wondered about its intricate design, the almost perfect symmetry, and how all those tiny little parts are arranged so perfectly? Well, that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to peel back the layers and look at the actual architectural blueprint of a flower. We're going to deconstruct it piece by piece, starting from how flowers are arranged on the stem and working our way right down to the very core, where its future seeds are just waiting to happen.
So first things first, we kind of have to rethink what a flower even is. It's not just some decoration that pops out of a plant. At its very core, a flower is actually a highly specialized stem. Yep, a modified shoot.
Okay, so what does that actually mean? Well, think about the tip of a stem that's programmed for growing taller and making leaves. That's called the apical meristem. At some point, it gets a whole new set of instructions. It literally transforms into a floral meristem. The stem stops elongating, everything gets condensed, and instead of making leaves, bam, it starts producing the specialized parts of a flower.
And when a plant starts making flowers, it is almost never a random event. The specific way flowers are arranged on that floral axis has a name: an inflorescence. This is really the first level of our architectural blueprint.
Now, depending on a crucial decision, whether the main stem tip keeps growing or just stops and becomes a flower, we get two major types of these arrangements. Each one has its own unique strategy.
The easiest way to think about it is this. In a racemose arrangement, the main stem is like a never-ending tower. It just keeps growing upwards, with the newest, youngest flowers always forming at the very top, while the older ones bloom below. But in a cymose arrangement, the main stem's growth is literally capped off by a flower. It's one and done. This forces any new flowers to bloom from branches below.
And you can really see these two strategies in action here. The racemose type on the left has this continuous, unending growth, always reaching up to make more blooms. On the other hand, the cymose diagram shows a very deliberate, limited growth pattern. The main axis just stops and the plant has to branch out. It's a really fundamental choice in the plant's strategy for attracting pollinators and timing its reproduction.
Okay, so that's the big picture, the arrangement of flowers on a stem. Now let's zoom way in and dissect the anatomy of just one single flower.
The basic structure starts at the bottom. See that swollen part of the stalk? That's called the thalamus, or receptacle. You can think of it as the foundation, or maybe even the stage. And arranged on this stage are 4 distinct layers, which botanists call whorls.
All right, working our way from the outside in, the first whorl is the calyx. It's made of sepals. Those are usually the green, leaf-like bits that protect the flower when it's just a bud. The second whorl is the corolla. These are the colorful petals, the main attraction, designed to bring in the pollinators. The third whorl is the andrecium. That's the male reproductive part. And right at the very center, the fourth and final whorl is the gynoecium, the female reproductive part.
Okay, so we've got the 4 basic parts down. But this is where nature gets really creative. There's incredible diversity out there, and a lot of it comes down to variations in the blueprint. 2 of the most important variations are symmetry and the relative position of all those floral parts.
First up, symmetry. This is all about how you can slice it. If you can cut a flower through the center from any direction and get 2 equal halves, kind of like a pizza or a starfish, it's called actinomorphic or radially symmetrical. But if you can only divide it into 2 mirror images along one specific line, just like the human face, then it's zygomorphic or bilaterally symmetrical. This design often evolves to guide specific pollinators to the exact right spot. Pretty clever.
Next up is positioning. And this is a big one. It's not just about what parts are there, it's about where they sit in relation to each other, and especially where they sit in relation to the ovary. This placement is absolutely critical for botanists trying to classify and understand different flowers.
So in our first setup, the hypogynous flower, the gynoecium gets the penthouse suite. It sits right at the very top. All the other parts, the petals, the sepals, the stamens, are attached below it. And because it's sitting pretty above everything else, we call this a superior ovary.
Then you've got the perigynous flower. In this case, the thalamus forms this little cup-like structure around the ovary. The other floral parts are then attached to the rim of this cup, so they're all basically level with the middle of the ovary. This gives it some protection, and we call it a half-inferior ovary. And finally, we have the epigenous flower. Here, the thalamus grows all the way up and completely surrounds and fuses with the ovary. The other parts then attach to the very top of this structure, so they actually look like they're sitting above the ovary. This arrangement offers maximum protection and creates what's known as an inferior ovary.
Now here's another layer of detail that is just fascinating. It's called estivation. This is all about how the petals or sepals are arranged in the bud before the flower even opens. In the valvate pattern, their edges just touch, no overlapping. In twisted, each petal overlaps its neighbor in a consistent direction, creating a cool spiral effect. Imbricate is a bit more chaotic. They overlap but in no particular pattern. And finally, vixillary is a super specialized pattern common in pea flowers where one big petal wraps around two smaller ones.
All right, for our final piece of the puzzle, we have to look deep inside the gynoecium, into the ovary itself, because how the ovules, the future seeds, are arranged in there is a critical part of the design.
This special arrangement is known as placentation. And yeah, the term might sound familiar. Just like in mammals, the placenta is the point of attachment and provides nourishment for the developing ovules.
So take a look at this. This diagram shows the 5 main ways this can happen. Each image is a cross-section of an ovary showing how those future seeds are attached inside. Just notice how different they are. The location varies dramatically, from the outer edge to the dead center to the very base.
Let's make this real with some examples you definitely know. If you've ever shelled a pea, you've seen marginal placentation, with the peas all lined up in a neat row. If you slice a tomato in half, you'll see axial placentation, where the seeds are attached to a central column inside different chambers. And in a sunflower seed, that single ovule is attached right at the bottom. That's basal placentation. Each design is just a unique, efficient solution for making the next generation.
Okay, wow, that was a lot. So let's do a quick flyby of everything we covered. We've seen that a flower's complete architectural blueprint is defined by a few key things: its overall arrangement, or inflorescence, its 4 basic layers, the whorls, the specific position of its ovary, how its petals are folded in the bud, and finally the internal arrangement of its future seeds, or placentation.
So, the next time you're out and about and you see a flower, don't just see its color, really look at it. Check for its symmetry, try to guess its ovary position, and imagine the pattern of ovules hidden deep inside. You now have the tools to read the beautiful, intricate blueprint of nature. Go see what you can find.